Alright guys, we're here taking a look at Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. This is included in the HD collection for Metal Gear. This game, I think, for Metal Gear fans has gone a little bit under the radar, and it's kind of crazy how much stuff was actually packed into this game. I'm going to show just a few things that I think are super cool from this game, and the first thing would probably be the story. It's got kind of a comic book style, and it's a little interactive as well, which is cool, so take a look.
Yes, sir, we broke him. We acquired the whereabouts of Target 500.
Acknowledged. Spears are loaded. The barge has cleared Point Bravo.
Acknowledged. Out.
Freeze! The cargo, where's it headed? What is it?
Airsuit! In the mountains!
What's up there?
So that gives you a pretty good idea of how the story's presented, how the story's told. You can see it's very interactive in the way that it's told, and it's kind of neat because it draws you in. And I wasn't sure what to expect from this game, especially because it was on the PSP. But now that I've played it, it really is, it's pretty amazing how much stuff they've gotten in here. Now, before each mission, you're able to customize exactly how you're going to approach the mission to the point where you don't even have to use Snake if you don't want to. Here I've got Marine Iguana, who I can take out if I wanted to. You can give him different camo. We can give him, let's see, maybe he's got a pink one. There we go, that's perfect. Of course, being a Metal Gear game, though, I'm going to be using Snake. I don't know why you wouldn't. But it's just neat that that option is there to use someone else if you wanted to. Of course, you can use tons of items, binoculars, night vision, everything you'd come to expect from a Metal Gear game. One very important item is called the Fulton Recovery System, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which is basically how you recruit soldiers. Here, based on the mission, do I want to take a tranq gun, do I want to take a sniper rifle, or do I want a rocket launcher, which is great too, because before boss fights it lets you come back and do mission prep, so you can take just the weapons you need. Now here's how the game actually looks. Of course, it is a PSP game, so keep that in mind. It is going to look a little blocky, but I still think the game looks pretty good considering. The mechanics itself are pretty easy. It's not too hard to sneak up on someone. You see here I'm going to use a Fulton Recovery System, which is basically, like I said, how you recruit people to your army, which is kind of the point of the whole game. So I knock him out, I use that, a little balloon comes, takes him away. It's a pretty interesting mechanic because then that person's gone, which is actually very useful as you're going through a map to kind of clear the map of enemies. Here you can see it's pretty liberal with giving you headshots. It's not terribly difficult in that respect. The only trouble I ever had with this game, to be honest with you, was just some of the boss fights. There is, that some of those fights were a little more tricky. So as I make my way through this area, we're just going to basically take everyone out and send them back to the army to be recruited. Now, before I send this guy back, I wanted to show you that it does have all the typical stuff you'd expect from Metal Gear. You can search people. The more you search people, if I keep searching this guy, he's actually going to wake up, and then I'll have to knock him out again. But the point of all this is just to kind of show you that there are a ton of different ways to approach an area and to approach enemies. It's not like you have to just tranq them or just knock them out. You can do any combination of things. Here I can actually interrogate them if I want to try to get information that way. I didn't end up interrogating a lot of people, but I just like the fact that it's there. It's again, considering this was a PSP game, they really put a lot of stuff in here. So here I'm going to equip the Fulton system, and there he goes. So one thing that's kind of neat, which is typical like most Metal Gear games, is here you can see the map as I go from one area to a next. It tells me my goal, tells me where I am, where I'm going to, and it kind of helps you stay centered on what's actually going on and where you are. And I think it gives you a pretty good idea of how the missions work. You'll start in one area and you got to go through 3 or 4 areas to get to your goal. Again, it's not too hard. You see a pretty easy headshot there. And that's it. Now the Fulton system you can't use, you can upgrade it, but you can't use it a million times for every mission. Right now for me, I think I can use it 9 times. Here there's a prisoner of war, so it actually works indoors too. I don't know how he flew through the roof, but he did. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the boss battles, which are so super cool. This is the very first one. It's a lightly armored truck, basically, with a little escort of guys. There's a couple ways you can approach these boss fights. If you're able to kill all the people around the boss, which in this case would be the truck, then you can actually take them for your own. This is a much crazier fight. This is one of the Metal Gears, very late in the game, but it also gives you an idea of just the scope of how crazy, you know, the game gets with the boss fights and who you're fighting against. And it's pretty awesome too, because you're never quite sure what you're going to be fighting next. A huge Metal Gear, a tank, a helicopter. It's always switching things up, and it makes it kind of fun. You know, now these fights are a little trickier than the main missions, but again, you can go to your mission prep screen, get exactly the rocket launcher you want, etc., etc. So let's take a look at maybe 2 or 3 things here. This is the main menu. As you can see, it gives you your base. As you're building it up, the base actually gets bigger. This will become Outer Heaven eventually for you Metal Gear nerds. And you've got basically 5 factions in your base. You've got combat, you've got research, you've got the mess hall, you've got medical, and you've got intel. And they of course all have their benefits, and you want to, as you're recruiting people, you saw I recruited a bunch of people during that mission, they will all show up in this main screen, and then you can determine where you want to put them, and you look at their stats and put them, you know, based on what their strengths are. So if I'm taking a look at this guy here, the wrench is for research. You know, he's better in research, so let's put him into the research and development team. The more you put into those teams, you know, for research and development, the quicker I'll be able to unlock new weapons, new items, etc., etc. Now here, if you see the top right, I have GMP. Every time I put someone into combat, that GMP goes up, and that's kind of your currency. So here we're taking a look at the research and development side, where you can research all sorts of items, all sorts of guns, and then use that GMP to pay for it. So here I want to upgrade my shotgun to level 2. Of course I'll do that, and that kind of gives you a good idea of how the game works. You recruit people, you put them into the different division, and then you can upgrade weapons and items. The last thing I wanted to show you guys was just this little meta game that they have in here, and it's pretty crazy. Based on all the people you recruited, which could be soldiers, it could be tanks, helicopters, whatever you have, you can put into a team. You can then decide to send them out on a mission, and here you see all these different missions I can choose from. In this case, I'll choose one where it's just 2 soldiers. I'm gonna, you know, then you go do a mission, and then when you come back, it will show you the results of sending these people out. And when you send people on missions, you can get more intel, come back with weapons, people will level up. It's this kind of crazy little mini game that they put in here, but it just adds this whole other layer to the game that I think is so cool. So here you see here, it's just dice rolls and stat checks. It's pretty straightforward. It's nothing too flashy, but you know, the first time I saw it, I was like, man, this is so cool. So that's it, guys. That kind of just a few basic things of why I think this game is so neat, and I hope you guys check it out.